Hey man, I'm Jusko from ProbMoney.com. In this video, we are going to take a look at the credit card lineup from Navy Federal Credit Union, sort of rank them from best to worst. Now, Navy Federal Credit Union, the largest credit union in the world. It is open to active duty military as well as retired and U.S. veterans. It is also open to Department of Defense personnel. It is open to the families of all of those groups. So that's obviously a lot of people who are eligible, but it's not everyone, so there is somewhat of a limit in order to be a member of Navy Federal Credit Union. Now, if you are a member, you may already know that when it comes to the credit cards, there are a couple things that make people really like Navy Federal. Number one, your chances of approval for a Navy Federal Credit Union credit card oftentimes are going to be better than they would be from the credit cards from the big banks. And then number two, Navy Federal oftentimes is going to give larger credit limits than the big banks might to you as a Navy Federal member, even if you don't necessarily have a huge amount of credit history. And Navy Federal has some very competitive credit cards when you compare them to the big banks out there in the wider market. The best of those cards, as far as I'm concerned, the more rewards American Express card. No annual fee. You are getting rewards in the form of 3 points per dollar at restaurants, 3 points per dollar at supermarkets, 3 points per dollar on gas purchases, 3 points per dollar on transit purchases, 1 point per dollar everywhere else. As I make this video, 25,000 point bonus opportunity for new card holders if you spend $3,000 with the card in the first few months of having it. No foreign transaction fees on this card. Now, when we talk about points with this card, a point in almost all cases is going to be worth a penny when redeemed. So for the most part, it probably makes more sense to take this as cash back than any of your other options, which include travel, merchandise, gift cards, that kind of thing, because you're not going to get any extra value from those points using them in other ways. You do have a $50 minimum in terms of being able to redeem your points as well. So you have to gather at least 5,000 points before you can start redeeming those. So this is the best of the Navy Federal cards as far as I'm concerned. It compares very favorably to some other somewhat similar cards out there on the regular market, something like the Wells Fargo Autograph Visa. You might compare it to maybe the Capital One Saver One card, Blue Cash Every Day. A little different than those cards, but something where you get no annual fee card and you have a lot of ways to earn sort of enhanced rewards in everyday categories. Next up, another popular card from Navy Federal is the Visa Signature Flagship Rewards card. $49 annual fee on this card, but you've got some enhanced rewards and other benefits that could make that worth it. You get 3 points per dollar on travel purchases, 2 points per dollar on everything else. As I make this video, a 40,000 point bonus opportunity for new card holders if you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months after you open your account. And then there also is a free year of Amazon Prime that comes with it as a bonus, again, as I make this video. In terms of other things going on with this card, not a whole lot. You do have a global entry or TSA pre-check credit, which could be up to $100 every 4 years. So if you look at that on a yearly basis, you could think of that as being a $20 to $25 credit that you could be earning on this card, which obviously could go against that annual fee. So this is a pretty decent card in terms of its simplicity. If you travel a lot and you don't really want to mess with, some of the points programs and stuff from the big banks out there, getting 3 points per dollar on your travel and knowing that those points are going to be worth a penny a piece when you go to redeem them might be something that is just good enough for you in terms of how you want to redeem your stuff. I would say you have to spend probably about $5,000 on travel per year for this card to really be worth it, but that is sort of my opinion in terms of the extra rewards that you are getting versus that annual fee. But a pretty solid card and a pretty popular card with a lot of people. Next up, the Navy Federal Cash Rewards card. No annual fee. You earn 1.75% cash back on all of your purchases with this card if you have a Navy Federal bank account in addition to the credit card, and you are getting a direct deposit into that account automatically. So from your employer or a government check or whatever. If you have direct deposit set up and you have this card, you're going to get 1.75% cash back on everything. If you don't have direct deposit, you could still get the card, but you're only going to get 1.5% cash back on everything. As I make this video, $250 bonus opportunity on this card if you spend $3,000 on it within the first first 90 days after you get it, no foreign transaction fees. This is a pretty decent card overall. I do have to say that there are other cards on the market, quite a few of them at this point, that give you 2% cash back across the board on everything that you buy and have no annual fee. And so there are other options out there. This is still a solid card. And again, like I said earlier with Navy Federal, you might have an easier time qualifying and you might have an easier time getting a larger credit limit. So even if the reward is not quite as good as some of the other things you might find on the market, still could be a solid choice. Next up, the Navy Federal Platinum card. Not all that exciting except for one particular feature. This is a no annual fee card. It does not offer rewards. So if you're thinking about this card, it is for the interest rate as well as the balance transfer offer. So that regular interest rate range, as I make this video, anywhere from 10.74% to 18%. A little note here, because Navy Federal is a federally chartered credit union, it by law cannot have an interest rate above 18% that it is offering its cardholders. And that's true on this card, but all the other Navy Federal cards as well. So if you get approved, you're not going to have an interest rate above 18%. Of course, you should be paying off your bills in full every month and not worrying about the interest rate. But if you ever carry a balance, not as bad here as compared to some of the other cards out there in the wider world where you could see 25% or more depending on your credit history. Balance transfer offer on this card, 0.99% for 12 months, which might not seem all that amazing when you compare it to other balance transfers offers out there on other credit cards, except this card has no balance transfer fees. So if you transferred a balance onto this card from another one that was sitting at a higher interest rate, you would have only a essentially 1% interest rate on this card for that first year, and you wouldn't have to pay any balance transfer fees, which oftentimes are going to be 3 to 5% with other credit cards out there on the market. So that's actually a really nice deal. Next up is the Navy Federal N Rewards secured card. Now this is a very good secured credit card, but I put it a little lower on the list because of the fact that not everyone needs a secured card. If you have a poor credit history, you've had some past credit problems, this might be a card that you would look at. If you were totally new to credit, maybe you would look at this, although I might try one of the other cards first and only go here if I got rejected elsewhere. But anyway, this is a card that requires you to put down a security deposit in order to get the card. You put money into a Navy Federal bank account that does earn interest, at least $200. And then you get a credit limit on the credit card that is the same as what you put into that account. So you could put $200 at a minimum, but you could put more if you wanted more of a credit limit. Other than that, you've got no annual fee on the card. It's got an 18% interest rate if you ever carry a balance, which you should not. You get 1% in rewards on this card. Not all secured credit cards offer rewards, so that is a point in its favor. No foreign transaction fees. Now, one of the things that people like about Navy Federal's secured card is the fact that it is fairly easy to graduate to an unsecured card. So oftentimes you could get a card like this and it won't be very long before you have one of the other cards on this list. Anyway, so after 3 months, Navy Federal says that you could get an upgrade wherein they give you a higher credit limit. Now they still keep that money in the bank account, but they'll give you a higher credit limit than what you initially put in, and you won't have to put any more money in. And then after 6 months, if everything is looking good, that is when they can potentially graduate you to the cash rewards card that we just talked about. So a pretty fast graduation once you get this card if you do everything right. So it is a popular and very good secured card. And then finally is the Go Rewards card from Navy Federal. Now this is a card that there's really nothing wrong with it, but when I compare it to other things on the market, it's not particularly special either. You have no annual fee. It does offer you rewards, 3 points per dollar on restaurant purchases, 2 points per dollar on gas purchases, 1 point per dollar on everything else. When you compare that to the more rewards card that we talked about at the beginning, it's obviously less in rewards. You do have a bonus offer here, 15,000 points if you spend $1,500 with the card in the first 90 days of having it. Those 15,000 points would be worth $150 in most cases, depending on how you redeem. No foreign transaction fees on this card. So again, nothing wrong with it, but there are plenty of other cards on the market where you could get as much or more, and then of course you could get more even from Navy Federal's own more rewards American Express card. Again, with Navy Federal, this is something where maybe if you are someone that wanted an easier approval and maybe get a larger credit limit, that is something where this card might be more attractive than some other cards on the market that offer similar or even better rewards. And it may be that depending on your credit history, this is what Navy Federal is going to offer you instead of approving you for that more rewards card, because maybe they think that your credit history doesn't warrant that other card at this point. So it's the least sort of interesting when we look at it against the rest of the credit card market, but certainly nothing against this card. So that is it. By and large, Navy Federal Credit Union members love Navy Federal Credit Union. So if you are eligible to be a member but are not one yet, look in the comments below, and I would be willing to bet that you will see many, many people talking about their love for Navy Federal. Questions, comments, if you have cards from Navy Federal and you don't like my rankings, let me know about that in the comments section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and as always, please go to proudmoney.com, where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. If you're not going to go to the website or leave a comment, you might want to watch next this video.